Okay, welcome to the Sage 100 Contractor year-end procedures for 2020. We are going to be addressing quite a few items today. We're going to be addressing the process for archiving your 2020 payroll, the process for advancing to your fiscal year of 2021, your process for archiving your 2019 general ledger data if you choose to do so, the processing of 1099s, including the new non-employee compensation 1099, processing W-2s, and Sage has implemented the COVID-19 tracking for your 941 quarterly reporting. It's very important with all of these items, with the exception of 1099s and W-2s, that you have access to your database administrator in order to perform the general ledger and payroll archives. Okay. First of all, we're going to start with payroll archiving procedures. Before entering your time cards for the new payroll year, you will need to perform the following steps in preparation for the closing process. First off, you will need to back up your company data through the database administrator by selecting Tune-Up, Backup, and Restore. Back up your companies and select the company to backup. Throughout this process, you will notice that backups will be performed for the archives of your payroll, your company archive, and the variety of other items through this procedure. In your active database, you will be running to run your payroll audit in your 5, 3, 7 screen and just run your audit. If you have no audit errors, that's great. If you do have any audit errors, you can select the repair button and it will correct the majority of the errors. If you still have audit errors after you have done the repair, you will need to contact your Sage consultant to assist in correcting these errors. These errors normally are for Social Security or Medicare that are off a couple of pennies, especially if you're using a third-party payroll and mapping to your payroll records. Once you have completed that payroll audit, you're going to want to go in and review your employees. This will give you the opportunity to remove any terminated or laid off employees by going into your 5, 2, 1 screen and go to each of your individual employee records and select the status if you choose to remove them for your next year's payroll. You will want to print reports for your after close verification. In your 522 payroll records, select File, then Count, and write down that number so that when we make sure that your payroll archive is successful, these records will be the same. You will also want to print your 51241. So 51241, which is your payroll check register totals page. And you'll want to do that for the full year. So you'll just want to go ahead and select the full year. And again, this report will be used for verification purposes after your books have been closed. You will also want to print your ACA hours allocation report under your 5, 4 federal and state tax filing, and 3. This report will be used to determine the number of full-time and full-time equivalent employees per month, and as a reference when you fill out your federal forms required under the Affordable Care Act, if applicable. It helps if I put the calendar year in there. And that will give you a full report of all of your employees and the hours by month that they have worked. Okay. The next, just as a double check, is you will be opening up your 4 accounts payable and 2 payable invoices and credits. And you will go under File and select Count and write down those records as well to make sure when your archive is complete, your database has maintained all of your accounts payable records. Once that is done, you will need to get out of that company and begin the archive process. So you will be going under your database administrator, and under Archive Company Data, select Archive Payroll Data. You will select the company to archive, which would be your live database, and you will enter the name of the payroll archive, your company name, and payroll archive. And this would be the area that you can remove your terminated, deceased, laid off, or quit employees and create archive. And it will give you warnings that all payroll records in the company will be deleted. And are you sure you want to continue? Yes. Just some notes. You cannot enter any payroll data with check dates in the new calendar year until you have archived your payroll for the previous year. Okay? All of you, the users, must be out of Sage during this archive process, as this takes some time to archive. Once your company's been archived, you will want to open up your archived payroll company. And as you notice, I've already done this because this does take some time. So you'll go in and you'll open up. And open up your 522 and make sure that your payroll records tie to the file count that you verified in the previous year. $168 records. The same thing for your accounts payable. Again, this is just a double protection to make sure that your archive was successful and has not lost any data. And there you go, $33.98. I'm going to go back to our next procedure here. You will now note in your live database that your payroll records are now at 0. That means you're ready to rock and roll with your new 2021 payroll processing. Okay. You'll also want to double check your accounts payable as well. And there you go. Okay. Now, after you've archived your payroll, have run your, of course, ran your last payroll of December, you will need to install the year-end tax update that you will be receiving approximately the 22nd of December. Do not install this update until you've completed your last payroll of 2020. After your archive, you can install your new payroll tax updates, and you will want to go in and update all of your pay calculations under your 5-3 payroll calculations. And you'll want to go into each of the individual and go under Options, Update, Default Rate and Maximum to all employees for all of your federal and state tax updates for 2021. Also, you'll be wanting to, if there's any SUTA, the majority of you get your state unemployment rates about the end of December for your 2021 year. You'll want to go in there and update the default rate here. And again, go under Options, Update Employees, Default Rate and Maximum to all employees. Now, if you have certain employees or you have multiple states, you will want to go in and do that archive for the state taxes to Options, Update, Default Rate and Max to employees with this calculation, because you will have separate calculations for each of the variety of state unemployment pay calculations. Okay. Now, if you have other employees, for instance, for your 401k maximums, items like that, again, you're going to want to do any sort of updates for those calculations to those employees only. You do not want to update to all of them. Okay. Our next procedure is we're going to go through and we're going to archive our fiscal year end. Advancing our fiscal year end. The first thing that you need to do is verify your posting period. You will need exclusive access to perform this, so go into your live company and hit Open Company Exclusively. You will want to make sure and verify under your 1 General Ledger, 6 Period Fiscal Year Management, and go in and audit your books and make sure there are no errors. No errors, complete. You can now go in and change your period to period 12 if you have not already done so. And it will say the audit again was done successfully. And this will now open the first period of the next fiscal year, so you can start procedures in January. If you by chance have any audit errors, you can try to repair by recalculating your balances. If the errors remain, you must contact customer support to assist in correcting these errors. Please have your company name, telephone number, and software version found under your Home and Resources, About Sage 100 Contractor, and this will provide the information that Sage Tech Support will require. Your customer ID is the 400 number under your Home and Resources and About Sage 100 Contractor. Now, after you've made sure that procedure is complete, I'm going to go ahead and open up for 2021, just so that you can see that procedure as well. Again, under the period fiscal year management, change period, and we're going to go ahead and change the period to January. And the audit was successful. Now you're going to notice that this has opened periods 2 through 12 of your 2021 fiscal year. And they're available for you to post all of those periods as an open status. We will also want to, before we process your year-end reporting, you'll want to go ahead and verify checks. To verify your checks, you go into 2 accounting reports and 5 general journals, and print the 2521 report with the following settings. In the account box, you'll use the range for all of your cash accounts, depending on your GL structure, 4 or 5 digits. In the transaction number box, select equal and type 0000. These are for those of you that utilize your general ledger checks as well. In the credit amount, you're going to want to select greater or equal to 1 penny. Your job status, I'm going a little ahead of myself. Go ahead and print that report. And if there's no matching records found, all of your checks have been posted properly. The next is your job status and removal. If you have a number of jobs that you want to go ahead and close, you can go ahead and go under your jobs. They must have the status of closed in order to remove them if you are going to be archiving your previous year of 2019. I do not recommend that you archive your 2020 data due to the fact that the majority of you will still have your year-end CPA journal transactions, and you wouldn't want to have to do those in two separate places, in a 2020 archive and in your live data. So the next procedure I'm going to go ahead and do is guide you through archiving a previous year. In order to do so, you're going to want to print reports and record counts for the year-end reconciliation. You're going to want to print the following records that will be used for verification purposes. Under accounting reports, your balance sheet, your 221 as of December. I've always said skip zeros and show account numbers and go ahead and print. You will also want to go in and do your income statement. And again, for your year of January through December of 2020, and show your account numbers. Now, some of you also like to see the current period, December, and the year to date. You can do that same one as well, but make sure you tie it back to the December 2020. You will also want to go in to your accounts receivable, your 1313, and I like to use number 26 and sort by client by job. And again, go back and do it with your December of 2020 date and print your AR aging report. The same thing for your accounts payable. Go into your 4/1 payable reports, payable aging, and again, report number 26 and sort by vendor by job and make sure it is a December 2020 date. You'll also want to go under your job cost total report under 61621 and for periods 1 through 12. Okay, and then print your job cost total report. If any of you have service receivables, you're going to want to do the same procedure in your service receivables under 11(1)(3) for service aging, 2(6), and you want to do it by client by location, and again change your period to December of 2020. Okay, now what happens after you advance your fiscal year to 2021? Your period 12 to period 1, Sage audits your accounting records to verify that all valid balance transactions support the general ledger account balances. Sage 100 Contractor does not require you to close your books in order to move forward in your next year's transactions. Our next item is we're going to process archiving your general ledger data. This will be archiving your oldest fiscal year. Look, this was an error from the payroll archives that 3 of the employees could not be removed because they were referenced with current activity, which means they were probably not marked as terminated. Okay, archiving your oldest fiscal year data. You'll want to go into Archive Company Data in the Database Administrator, Archive Oldest Fiscal Year, select the company that you want to archive, and this will remove your data for the fiscal year of 2019, or if you guys did not archive your 2019, it would go back to 2018 or 2017 whenever you performed your last fiscal year. This will give you a step-by-step process. You'll go ahead and create your archive, and it will give you all the step-by-step procedures. Before you begin, this process will automatically remove the oldest fiscal year data from your company's books and place it in the archive, resulting the archive can be accessed like any other archive company, except you need to do that through the Show Archives. And caution, before archiving, make sure you have completed all of the posting to the previous year. Since it's going to be a year prior to your most recent year, all of you should be good to go and your year-end transactions should have been entered. It will take you step by step for the preparation. It will run a maintenance. It will audit your ledger activity and create a backup. The maintenance items will allow you to remove old jobs, old POs that are closed, and any old accounts payable procedures. I'm not going to go through this and show you because it takes a good hour to archive your past year's data. Okay. Yes, I want to cancel the wizard. Next, we're going to go through the process of processing your 1099s. In the archived company, your 2020 year-end payroll archive, you're going to go ahead and open that up. You do not need exclusive access to process your 1099s. Under your accounts payable, for those of you that are new to utilizing Sage, there's a couple of tasks that need to be done. First of all, under For Accounts Payable and under your vendors, and you will get warnings that you're in the archive. In the second tab, Financial Information, make sure your federal ID number of the vendor or the Social Security number of a vendor is in this field right here. You will also go in and select the type of 1099. Now, the update at the end of this year will be including the new 1099 for non-employee compensation. This is going to be added again in the update that comes out after the 22nd of December. And this will be for any of your vendors that have a Social Security number versus a federal ID number. So your miscellaneous or your sole proprietor would be created for anybody with a federal ID number. The new 1099 NEC will be for your vendors with Social Security numbers. For any new employee users as well, you will need to post your startup balances. In order to start up your 1099 balances, you will be taking the information from your old accounting software, and under the For Vendor screen, And each of the individual vendors that you'll be bringing the balances over, you'll select Options, 1099 Balance and Startup. This will give you the fields where you would do your startup adjustment date. So if some of you started like 6/30 of 2020, it will go ahead and bring over what your current is after the 6/30/2020. And you will go in and populate the startup adjustment from your old accounting system. And that will result in your 1099 balances. And save. You will want to repeat that for all of vendors that have balances that have been brought over from your old accounting software. After your final accounts payable check run for the year, you will want to process and review the vendor's 1099 data. In your current company or your archive company, you can go under Accounts Payable, Payable Reports, Vendor Payment Journal, and select report number 61, Vendor 1099 Payments. You can select the reporting criteria by date or by 1099 type. So if you put your cursor in a field, as most of you know, any information that field requires is available for you right down here. Okay, and you can go ahead and view the reports if you have them selected, I guess I should say. Once you have reviewed all of the vendors for accuracy, open for Accounts Payable, Vendor 1099 Forms. Oops. Hang on just a second. I'll go back to our current one. Go to Accounts Payable, Vendor 1099 Forms, and select 1099 Miscellaneous or Interest. Again, there'll be an update for a 1099 NEC. And you'll want to do this for the year 2020 and run the report. This particular company has no vendors that are selected for 1099s. So if you did have it, it would prompt you correctly. And you would just run the report. I don't know if all of you are familiar with Atrix or not, but Atrix is a third-party payroll procedure, W-2s, 1099s, all of that can be obtained through Atrix. Under your payroll, you can do your EFTPS payments, your 941s, your state unemployment quarterly reports, and your year-end W-2s will be done through Atrix. You even have access to certain human resource forms. Most of you have used Atrix in the past. For those of you who have not, you will need to register with Atrix, and you may do so by selecting for 5 payroll, 4 federal and state tax filing, and federal forms. You can go under Options, Atrix Software Registration. It will ask you and prompt you through all of the registration. You have alternatives. You can utilize Atrix to pay your EFTPS payments. You will need to have authorization forms sent to your bank that they will be allowed to make the payments for you. They can also do the filing for all of your W-2s, 1099s, quarterly reports. Again, there's a second authorization form that you would need to fill out in order for them to file all of your documentations for you. I'm going to go ahead and skip to the next one to process W-2s through Atrix. Again, under 5 Payroll for federal and tax forms, you'll select the, and again, it's a little old, this was from the sample company. You select the W-2, W-3, select the year, and run report. Oh, my bad. You've got to do that from the archive. There we go. Payroll, federal tax filing, federal forms. It will give you the warning you're in the archive. That's where you want to be. Select the W-2, W-3, 2020 reports, and run report. This will go through all of your employees, and you'll be able to review all of their data. Most of you will have the most current forms. I don't have a license for Atrix, that's why it's a little old. The next will prompt you to a W-2 setup wizard. You will want to go ahead and say, no thanks, start processing my W-2s, or you could do a test drive. What the test drive does is just kind of run you through the procedures. It does not save it for you. You'll want to go ahead and say start processing W-2s and hit next. Verify your company federal ID number. Hit next. Make sure all of your information is correct in the company information and hit next. The majority will be filing for your own company or employer. Now, if any of your CPAs do this, they would select the third-party tax prep. Hit next. Verify your state withholding. It will also bring you to data verification. If you have any employees who are exempt from any part of Medicare or Social Security. Do you have any employees who earn Social Security tips? No. Your construction. Do you want to use control numbers on your W-2? Most companies say no. If you have any employees who have elected to receive W-2 forms electronically, that would be from your employee records, it will automatically gray out the yes. This is the control number. Again, that's an option from the previous screen if you choose to have control numbers on your W-2. You are the type of payer of a 941. The kind of employer will be a none since you're not state or federal government. You are not using a third-party SIC, and your businesses have not been terminated this year. Just hit next. This will go ahead and say, no, I use a single payroll data for this federal ID number. Most companies have this as a standard procedure. And it will start creating the documents for the data for your W-2s. Go through here and make sure everything is right. When you hit next step, if there are any errors, it will prompt you what's going on with that. There's a zip code missing. Make sure you look in the employee record and correct the zip code accordingly. We'll also take you to the next box, your federal wages, federal withholding, Social Security, Medicare, all of this information. Your next step. Again, it's kind of redundant. It'll go through this a few times. You're going to notice some errors coming up in a little bit. I did this purposely so that you can see that you can override them. And this is going to say in box 12D, the box 13 retirement must be checked. Go back and correct. It will give you the boxes that need to be corrected. Just go in there and make sure that there's an X in that retirement box if applicable to your company. And hit next. It's just going to keep verifying the different items, it's going to go through and audit each one of these columns. And if it has no errors, you can just keep moving forward to next. Now, here's one that's very interesting. I'm going to say go ahead and go back and correct. There are one or more unassigned columns with dollar amounts. Most per diem is not on a W-2. Employee loans are not on W-2s. Workers' compensation are not on W-2s. The employer portion of health insurance is not on W-2s. Go back and hit next step. And you can continue without correcting because those are not applicable to your W-2s. This will bring you to the printing and filing options. You can either complete the W-2 e-filing and have Atrix do it for you if you've signed the authorization form, okay? Or you can go to other options. Print my employee W-2s, print my federal W-3s, and print my state W-2s. This is if you've purchased the Sage 100 Contractor W-2. I believe they're 4 up on a page. And go ahead and say next. Again, you could have Atrix take care of all of this for you, but no, you're going to go ahead and print them anyway. If you have divider sheets when printing, select yes or no, do not include divider sheets. This will go ahead and print all of your W-2 information, including the federal W-3, for you to send your federal, Colorado, an employee, and an employer copy for yourself. I am not going to go through this procedure as it's self-explanatory as you move forward. The next item I am going to address is our COVID-19 tracking. For those of you that have not been guided by your consultants, I'm going to go ahead and show you this procedure. You will be doing this in your live database. And you're going to notice I've got a couple here. This was our original live. This was to verify the payroll archive numbers. And this was after I archived the 2019 year. In Payroll 5, payroll processing and payroll records, you will want to go in and select in the absence column. You can plug in a 19 for COVID sick or a 29 for COVID FMLA. And I'll show you how to do that. You would just go ahead and plug in 19. It will take you to the absence reasons. So make sure you have COVID-19 sick and the COVID-19 family leave. When processing your payroll and someone is out sick, you will go through the daily that he's out sick. Okay, there would be no job associated with it. The pay type is going to be 4 for sick. The rate of hours he is going to be out sick, and the absence reason. Once you have done the procedure for if unfortunately you do have any employees out with COVID, this will track all of the costs that you have paid them. The new version of Sage already has a report that you can go in and pull under 5 payroll, 1 payroll reports, 8 hours report, number 91, absent hours and wages by employee. The absent type will be 19. and you'll select the quarter, whether it's third or fourth quarter. Most likely after your archive, you'll be doing the fourth quarter. And view. If there was anybody out sick with COVID, it would report. And fortunately, nobody's been out sick. If you had anybody that was out with FMLA leave, that would be number 29, and do the same report. Okay? Now, those reports will be a great reference when you're filling out the new 941s, where you can take the credit for your employees that are out sick. Both the IRS and Atrix have revised the quarterly 941 to reflect these credits. If you have anybody out with COVID and need assistance, please contact your business partner or your Sage consultant. Or the instructions are pretty good on those IRS forms. This concludes this part of the Sage year-end procedures. I'm going to go ahead and open it up for any questions. Okay, everybody's unmuted. Do we have any questions?
No questions for me.
Let's say my question is, when you archive the company, the general ledger part, because I've done the payroll archive before and I know what happens, and that's fine. What goes away and what stays so you can see? Obviously, even if you have closed a job, the reporting date is still there. What is it that you can't see in the current company? Then what can you still see?
It will clear out all activity prior to your 12/31 of 2019. You will be able to access all of that data in the archive. All it does is clean up your data, removes your jobs, removes old POs, accounts payable invoices that have been paid in full. You can still reference that in the archive.
Right, but like if you, in reports and stuff, that will, because like when I archive payroll and the payroll data is gone, I mean, I know I can't go back and see the actual like payroll records for that employee, but obviously the costs and everything are still there. Other reports pull up and it says payroll. It's just when I click on it, I don't get anywhere if it's
exactly
if it's all been archived. So right. Everything's still going to be there in reporting, but just I can't actually see the transactions.
Right. You will be able to see all of your job cost reports. Everything is there. But if you drill down to anything prior to your closeouts, you will not be able to see the detail. But all of your reporting will still be there.
Okay, because we started in 2016 with Sage, and I have not ever yet archived the general ledger.
Right, and you probably have years and years that you have to select on your date selections back to 2016. And a lot of people choose not to do so. When I was a user, I archived 3 years back because of that fact. You want to see detail. So
well, and we've got jobs. We have a job that we started in 19, we're still working on in 20, and will be in 21. I think then it will end. You know, we have jobs that cover more than one fiscal year, more than 2 fiscal years. And so, I mean, it is the same as the calendar year. So I'm like, if I still have an active job that started in 2019, I probably still want to see be able to see the transactions.
Absolutely.
If that job is still open.
Absolutely.
So I would archive perhaps up through 18.
Absolutely. I was just going to recommend that.
Okay.
If you have current jobs that lapse over a couple of years, don't archive them. It makes it easier on you. But again, it creates an archive where you can view all of that data. So when you do year end, it's going to do 1 year at a time. It'll do 2016, 2017, and 2018. So you'll have to go through that procedure 3 times.
Okay. All right. That's helpful because I do know that over time, some reports, like my AP reports, my AP aging or something, it takes Sage a really long time to generate those now.
Right, because of all.
And by really long, I mean a few minutes.
Right. You shouldn't have any old AP from 2016, 17, or 18. Those are normally written off unless there's some sort of a litigation.
Well, it's just, yeah, I don't think we do have any, but just to generate the reports, it takes a lot of time. And I think it's probably because it's going through all this data that if I'd archived, it wouldn't be there. It wouldn't have to look at it.
Right.
Because, yeah, most things in Sage, I love it. It's really fast. It's like boom, 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 it's there.
Yep.
But my AP aging reports in particular are not quite that fast. And my guess would be it's just because there's so much data. Whereas if I archived it, that would get rid of some of the data. Although I obviously don't want to archive 19 yet because we still have an active job and I'd like all that data still available to me.
Right. Absolutely. I agree with you 100% on that. It's for those companies that don't have longevity projects, but there's a lot of them that have 2-3 years. And I agree. Only archive the years that are totally done, totally closed out. Jobs are all complete.
Okay, that is helpful. Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome. Anybody else? You guys are easy. Again, thanks for your time today. And if you have any questions, just contact your Sage consultant or Digitech or give me a call or email if you're one of my clients. And we're here to help you through this process. All right.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. I hope you all have a great rest of your day.
All right.
Yeah,
thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks.
Bye.